Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Speak the Truth in Love ministry with Miss Veronica Mirembe Benedictio, and welcome to our video 90 by the grace of God. Just like I keep telling my audience, this channel is not about a following, a like, out of lots of humility, because your following or like does not pay my bills. But I'm here to speak to one person out there who always wants to learn truths about different things. And just like I'm telling people, I'm doing my 90th video and I only have 15 subscribers, but I'm very diligent in the work I'm doing, because at the end of the day, I just need to help that one person who always wants to learn something according to what I read, because I tell people I am an educator who wants to always share the knowledge I get with people out there. So welcome to video 90, and in this video I'm sharing it's a mental health tip. Just like I told you, I share about different things in life. I do parenting, I do children, I do marriage. I share about different topics according to the insights I get when I read some of this information. And in this video 90, I want to give a title: Stop stressing over what you cannot control or change. Mu Luganda njagala kiyita nti lekeraawo okwestressinga ku bintu by'otasobola kukyusa oba by'otayinaako control. I would say stop stressing over what you cannot control or change. Nti lekeraawo okwestressinga ku bintu by'otayinaako control oba by'otasobola kukyusa. So one, I'll begin by educating us. We have to know most of us are very stressed because we want to be in control. Abantu abasinga tuina stress ba buli kimu twagala tubeere nga ffe abakifuga. And it is why I shared in my last mental health tip. It is something very good, working on your mind, like handling your mindset and attitude, than handling your problems. It is what I'm trying to teach us in these mental health tips. Like fight more in handling your mindset and attitude towards your problems than handling your problems. Inti rwana nnyo okuhandolinga engeri gy'okwatamu ebizibu byo than okulwanyisa ebizibu. Kubanga oluusi ebizibu tebigenda kuvaawo, but our attitude and mindset in handling them yetuyisa mu bizibu ebyo. Tulina okumanya nti mulimu ebintu bingi mu nsi nga tetubiyinaako control, naye nga ffe abeyinako control. Tetusobola bifuga, tetusobola bikyusa, naye nga ffe abalina okukyusa endowooza yaffe, attitude yaffe ku bintu bino bwe tuba twagala obulamu obulimu emirembe. It is why I'm trying to teach someone out there. Fight more in handling your mindset and attitude towards the stress you are going through than handling your problems. Because at the end of the day, so many people are stressed because we are focusing on their problems, but we are not focusing on our attitude and mindset in handling these problems. Chovola Bible yetugamba mu Matayo 6:27 nti omuntu alina kyoyongera ku bulamu bwo buli weeraliikirira. The Bible says in Matthew 6:27, do you add anything to your life when you worry? Do you add a single hour to your life because of worry? And we get to know worry does not add anything to our lives, but it only drains our emotional wellness. It only drains our happiness because we have given it a room in our minds, and we do not know worry only drains us emotionally. No, there is something I like sharing on my channel in the mental health tips. If you can fix something, fix it. If you cannot, leave it and change your mindset and attitude towards it. Woba osobola okufixinga ekintu, woba osobola okukihandolinge, woba tokinaako buyinza, like kyusa mindset yo, kyusa engeri gy'okikwatamu, ojja kulanga ekintu ekyo kyesootinze kyokka. Kubanga abantu abasinga balina stress because we want to be in control. Kyenva mpadde message yange title nti lekeraawo okwestressinga ku bintu by'otasobola kukyusa. Ku bintu by'otasobola kufuga by'otayinaako control. Because at the end of the day, it is your mindset and attitude that is going to make the difference. Kyenva nsomesa abantu ebintu bino nti mulimu ebintu nga tubinaako obuyinza naye nga ffe abeeyinako obuyinza. Tulina okumanya ebintu ng'okufiirwa, okulwala, okulwaza, tetubiyinaako obuyinza. Naye nga ffe abeeyinako obuyinza engeri gye tuhandolingamu ebintu bino nga byatuuseewo. And this is why I'm speaking to someone. Fight more in handling your mindset and attitude than handling your problems. Mulimu ebintu byendaga abantu kati ekintu ng'okufiirwa, abantu ffenna tufiirwa. Naye waaki omulala afiirwa ne bagamba teyadda ngulu, ate omulala n'afiirwa naye n'akiyitamu n'aguma, kubanga abo bantu babiri ekintu kimu kibatuuseeko naye attitude ne mindset engeri gye bakuttemu ekintu ye making the difference. No, we have to know, as long as we are living in a fallen world, things like problems, suffering are part of our journey. Chovola boli buli wobeeraawo n'ogamba nti gwayina Katonda gwayina ebizibu, obeera nga atategeera ky'oyogera, kubanga Mukama yamanya nti mu nsi mulimu okubonaabona, mulimu ennaku, mulimu ebizibu, mulimu endwadde, mulimu okufiirwa, mulimu accident. It's what I share with people. God has never promised us a life without problems, but he only promised us his presence. Kyova olaba omuntu alina Katonda tagenda kwetta, tagenda kweyokya, tagenda kwesuula mu mmotoka kukola ki kumutala kuba ebizibu bimuyitiriddeko, kubanga alina a higher power in their life. It is why the Bible says in John 16:33, in this world you will have problems, in this world there will be suffering, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. Mukama yagamba nti mu nsi muno mulibaamu okubonaabona, naye mubeere basanyufu kubanga mpangudde ensi. Kyova olaba omuntu buli woyita mu bizibu naye Katonda oba gy'oli waaki mpita mu kino, obeera nga atategeera amazima gali mu kigambo kya Katonda. And it's why I'm teaching us, we have to work more on handling our mindset and attitude than handling our problems. Because at the end of the day, it is our mindset and attitude that makes the difference in whatever we go through life. We have to know inner peace and happiness is not the absence of problems. It is not the absence of chaos, but the ability never to allow problems, or chaos still to shake you. Inti emirembe emituufu tegitegeeza nti wabeera bizibu, naye emirembe emituufu bwe butakkiriza bizibu bino kukuteekako stress kubanga amazima ogategedde. It is why I'm trying to educate people who are always complaining, nga when in a stress. No, at the end of the day, inner peace is not the absence of problems. Buli omu alina kyayitamu. Buli omu mu nsi alina kyayitamu. But the ability not to be shaken by your problems, by that suffering, is what makes the difference. It is what will give you inner peace. It is why the Bible says in John 14:27, my peace I give, not as the world gives. Do not be shaken. Bible tugamba mu Yokaana 17:27 nti emirembe mbalekera singa ensi weebawa. Kuba mu nsi tulina emirembe lwakuba buli kimu okiyina. Mu nsi oyina emirembe lwakuba oyina ssente, oyina omulimu, oyina abaana, oyina obufumbo, naye emirembe si gye emirembe gy'ensi. Gye emirembe Mukama gy'ayogerako, Yesu gy'ayogerako ng'agenda mu Yokaana 14:27 nti emirembe mbalekera singa ensi weebawa. Emirembe gya Mukama si gye gy'ensi. Emirembe gya Mukama gye emirembe egibeerawo ng'ofiiriddwa omuntu gw'osinga okwagala naye ng'olina emirembe. Kuba yatugamba emirembe gy'atuwa si gye gy'ensi. It is why I'm encouraging someone in this mental health tip. Patience is not about just waiting even. It is the ability to walk, to wait with a positive attitude. Okugumiikiriza sinti kulinda bulinzi, naye kwe kulinda n'embala ensanyufu ng'olina essuubi. Because at the end of the day we have to know, the Bible says in Isaiah 55:8, God's ways are not our ways and his thoughts are not our thoughts. Ey'olugamba egamba mu Isaya 5:5 nti ebirowoozo bya Mukama si bye byaffe ate n'amakubo ge si ge gaffe. Kati gwe oluusi oyinza okyagala mu kkubo lyo naye nga mukama si kyakyagalamu. And the reason we have to know, patience is a fruit of the spirit. Ogumiikiza kibala kya mwoyo. You know, and whenever you are patient, God's promises in our lives are realized because we have mastered how to be patient. You know, no, you realize most of the promises of God in our lives are aborted because we are impatient. Ebisuubizo bya Mukama bigaana okutuukira mu bulamu bwaffe, bate tulina bugumiikiriza. We want things our way. Nenga Bible yekugamba mu Isaya 5:5 onyiro 8 nti engeri za Mukama si ze zaffe n'amakubo ge si ge gaffe. You know, kyenva ngamba omuntu ayina kyalindirira Mukama. Patience okumiikiriza tekitegeeza nti gumiikiriza ne attitude. Ne like no with a mind that is positive. You know, no, there are things I tell because I am asked by different comments on this channel. Miss Veronica, oli mulokole, oli pastor. I'm not a pastor and I refuse to be a pastor. You know, I am just as a speaker. I wasn't even a motivational speaker because at the end of the day, omuntu akumotivatinga, akuzaamu buzamaanyi, naye omuntu akuzaamu amaanyi nga akulaga ekigambo kya Katonda. I would not call myself a motivational speaker. Say it a pastor, sagala na kumpita pastor. Bano mu Africa tumanyi buli ayogera ku Bible abeera pastor. You know, but there are truths. It is why I call this channel Speak That Truth in Love. You know, because it is the truth that sets us free. When you read John 8, it says, John 8:32, you will know the truth and that truth will set you free. You know, a motivational speaker will just encourage you. Oveongozeemu amaanyi. Naye omuntu aku-encouraging nga akulaga ekigambo kya Katonda. They are not just inspiring or motivating you, but they are showing you biblical truths that are going to set you free. You know, no, we have to know in this world problems are inevitable. Ebizibu tebigenda kuvaawo. As long as we are living in a fallen world, we have to know problems are part of the journey. Mulimu ebintu ng'omuntu n'okweshoninga Katonda woba gy'oli waki siina ssente woba gy'oli waki bampita omulalo woba gy'oli waki nafuna obulwadde. No, there are things we have to know. As long as we are living in a fallen world, problems are part of the journey. We are told our ancestors Adam and Eve sinned. And we are paying for the consequences of their sins. So as long as you are living in a fallen world, problems, suffering, it is all part of the journey. Mukama tatusuubizaako obulamu butaliimu kubonaabona, kulwala, kufiirwa, kulwaza, byonna tulina obbiyitamu. Kyova twalina kkiriza bizibu kukumalamu maanyi n'otandika ddala Katonda oba gy'oli kino lwaki kyantuukako. No, there are things I tell people. We have to know as long as we are living in a fallen world, problems are part of the journey. Ante ebintu ebibi bituuka ne ku bantu abalungi. No, we have to know even bad things happen to good people because people question God because we have to know even good people die. N'abantu abalungi bafuna accident, n'abantu abalungi bafa. N'abantu abalungi bafiirwa. They are raped. No, even bad things happen to good people because as long as we are in a fallen world, we are not exempted from suffering. You know? It is why I show people when we read the Bible and you read Job, the Bible calls him a blameless man. Mukama yamwita omusajja atayinaako yamwitanga perfect man. Neraba ebyamutuukako Yobu mu Bible. N'afiirwa abaana 10 olunaku lumu, n'afiirwa obugagga bwe, naye nga Mukama yali amwita omusajja omwami atuukiridde. Kati gwe omwana w'omuntu w'ofuna ekizibu n'otandika naye Katonda ono omuntu mulungi wa kino kyamu. No, even bad things happen to good people because we live in a fallen world. You know, and it is the reason I encourage people out there, do not pray away problems. Tosabira bizibu kuvaawo, but pray for the inner strength, that resilience to go through problems unshaken. You know, to go through problems like having something you are learning so that your problems do not define you. They do not give you identity, but they make you stronger. You know, they make you better. You know, no, there are things I tell people, things like death, sickness, suffering, disease, they are part of our journey. Because God has never promised us a life without problems. Veronica, I personally question God for years. Ne mukama, wache mbele no yamberako. But because I got the answers from the Bible. And it is why I can use my life as a testimony to encourage others. You know? That God can, he can use that problem to be a blessing in your life if you try to look at the good side of it. You know, no, there are things I tell people out of life experience, because at the end of the day, most of us are questioning God. We are doubting God because we do not know even God can use what the devil meant for evil and it turns out for good. It turns out to be a blessing. The Bible says in Romans 8:28 that all things work together for good to them who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Inti ebintu byonna bikola ku lw'obulungi olw'abo abaagala Katonda abayitidde olw'ekigendererwa. N'ebibi biyinza okukola ku lw'obulungi. You know? And it is why I encourage someone in this mental health tip. Stop stressing over what you cannot change. You know, because at the end of the day, people are so stressed. And what brings this? Now, let me give another example. At times, we are so stressed because we are believing people's opinions about us. You know? Believing everyone's opinion about you matters. And it's what I'm trying to show people. At times, you have allowed stress kubanga okiriza opinion ya buli muntu or like okufuga obulamu bwo. And there is something I tell people out of life experience. There is great freedom in living free from people's opinions. Mulimu amanyi manji buli wobeera mu nsi ng'abantu bakwogerako nga tebikumalamu maanyi. There is a freedom in leaving people to their opinions, but people do not know that. Abantu abasinga twembalamu amaanyi lwakuba tubeera nolowooza omuntu kyakulowoozaako. No, there is something I tell people. W'omanya nti mu nsi ffenna tulina ebizibu byaffe oli kyandowoozaako, it is none of my business. Baffenna tulina ebizibu byaffe. You know? So why do you allow people's opinions give you worth and validation when everyone has their issues? You know? And it is why I encourage someone, fight hard to mind your own business. You know? And stop minding about people's opinions. Most of us are so stressed because we are minding about what people think about us. No, there are things we have to learn. Because at times these are causes of stress. Omuntu kyakulowoozaako, it is none of your business. And most especially if it does not pay your bills. You know? No, there are revelations I have gotten as Veronica. Your opinion about me is your opinion. I respect it, but it is none of my business if it does not pay my bills. Because it is your opinion, I cannot refute it. So walagana chondowozako. But if your opinion does not pay my bills, what chimalamu amanyi? And it is what I'm encouraging someone. Because you cannot control people's opinions about you. There are things we have no control over. You have no control over your reputation. Abantu bakulowoozaako tokiinaako buyinza. We have no control over traffic. We have no control over death. Kati there are certain things that there is great freedom to leaving people to their opinion. You know? But most of us hardly know that. We have believed everyone's opinion about us matters. And we hardly know what you believe about yourself is what is important. Chewelowozaako kye kisinga obukulu. There is great freedom in leaving people to their opinions. Chovola nekintu kye njogera mu video zino. Omwami oyo gwe bali bayita Bruce Lee gwe tuwulirako. Oba he was an actor. Aina quote gye yagamba. I am not in the world to live up to your expectations. And you are not in the world to live up to my expectations. Nti siri mu nsi okola by'oyagala nkole ate naawe toli mu nsi okola byenjagala okole. Naye abantu abasinga twemalamu amaanyi because we have made people's expectations. People's opinions define us, give us identity, yet each of us has our issues. You know? And it's why I tell people, minding about people's opinions, it steals your inner peace. It steals your inner joy. Because we have not known certain truths, that there is great freedom in leaving people to their opinions. Because at the end, the Bible says, I think it's Proverbs 29:25, that fearing people's opinions is a trap, but trusting God is, trusting God is safety. Bible egamba nti buli wootya abantu bye bakulowoozaako ako katego. Newe weesiga Katonda kyakulowoozaako, you are good to go. But most of us are so, we have allowed people's opinions give us worth, and it's the reason why we are battling stress. Because you have not known kye weerowoozaako kye kisinga amaanyi. You have allowed people's opinions give you worth. Neweemalamu amaanyi, onayogedde kino, onampita omulalu, it is their optosa ajimujjako. Because that is their opinion and you have to respect it. You cannot refuse it. It is their responsibility. And the right you have, it's the reason you have to live a happy life. And it's what I'm showing us. Stop stressing over things you cannot control. No, there are things I am learning about wealth. When you bagamba wealth is it is a daily mindset. The happiest person is not the one who has everything, but the one who needs less. The one who has learned to be in control. Inti obugagga obutuufu si kwe kubeera na bino ebintu by'ensi. Naye omuntu ateetaaga bingi nga by'ayina bimumala bwe bugagga obutuufu. True wealth is wanting less and appreciating more. Nga katono koina okebaza. Wanting less but appreciating more. And that is the power of contentment. It is practicing daily gratitude, being grateful every day. No, there are things I tell people, they are my weapons of warfare every day. I wake up every day and look at the beauty of life and thank God for the things He's doing for me, the things He has done for me. Because most of us are in stress because we are looking at what is missing, and that is what, it kills the beauty of what is there. Abantu abatuwasiga tutunulira bitaliiwo. Kyova olaba olema okwebaza bino ebiriwo kubanga otunulira bitaliiwo. Most of us had gratitude is a medicine that fights stress. Buli wookera ne weebaza Katonda. You do not know how, it is true therapy. Okwebaza kulimu amaanyi, concentrating on God's goodness than concentrating on the chaos around you. Kyova olaba akayimba ako nze kankolera nnyo, wadde nga waliwo bye sinnalaba naye Mukama by'okozeeko nkwebaza. Wadde nga waliwo by'otannakola n'ebyokozeeko nkwebaza. Abantu abasinga otunulira bitaliiwo, kyova olaba tolina mirembe, obeera mu stress because you are concentrating on what is missing, and that is how our inner peace, our happiness is stolen, because we are not grateful. We have not learned that gratitude is a medicine that fights stress. True wealth is wanting less and appreciating more. Waking up every day to look at the beauty of life. No, there are things I tell people. We have to know health is wealth. Obulamu obulungi bugagga. The day you wake up ng'olina senyiga, ojja kumanya banaye bulijjo nkeera nga sina senyiga naye nga, the day you wake up ng'omubiri mulwadde, ojja kumanya nti buli w'ozukka ng'oli mulamu, ekyo kirabo. True health is wealth, because people have all the wealth but they do not have health. Negwa alina obulamu, kyebalize Katonda. Waliwo n'atabwina ng'ali eyo alwana bulwanyi, obulamu buganyi naye nga ssente aziina. And that is the power of gratitude. The Bible says, I think, is it a dead dog is better than a living lion. Omuntu kasita oba n'obulamu bugagga. Ekyo kyokka kyakwebaza Katonda. Ne abasinga, the reason we are stressed because we are looking at what is not working out. Happiness is letting go of what you think your life should be and appreciating it for what it is. Letting go of what you think your life should be and appreciating, like bino ebitaliiwo bireke tobirowoozaako weebaze Katonda ebiriwo. That is true happiness, because most people don't know this truth, and it is why people are so stressed. No, there are things I tell people. Happiness is not the absence of problems. It is not the absence of chaos, but the ability not to allow that chaos, all those problems, steal your inner peace, staying unshaken by the pain and the problems. It is what I'm trying to teach us. Like, stop stressing over what you cannot change or control. Because most people are so stressed because we want to control things. No, there are things I tell people. You are so stressed with your boss at the office because of the way they treat you. No, you have to know, if you cannot change your boss, change your mindset and attitude towards your boss. Watosobola kukyusa boss oyo, wekyusa engeri gy'omuhandolingamu. Watogenda mukyusa naye nga gwe alina okwekyusa. No, there are things I tell people. We cannot control the way people treat us. But we can allow not to be derailed by the things they do to us, because you have learned how to be in control. Togenda gana abantu kunyiza nenga gwalina okwefuga. Buli bajja kunyirizaawo ne wonoogenda wa buli bajja kunyiza nenga gwalina okuyiga okwefuga. The way you handle people is what makes the difference. Because you cannot control people from speaking words, from their opinions, from their derogatory statements, but all you can control is your mindset. Not to allow people's words and opinions steal your inner peace, not to allow the negativity around you steal your happiness, because you have mastered being in control. It is why I'm telling someone, stop stressing over things you cannot change. Abantu abasinga balemerera okwebaka naye nga kye kireeta stress. Nga mmaliriza video no kanjogere ku kino. Most people fail to sleep because of stress. And it is why even if you go to the doctor n'akuwa obudagala otulo tugaana. Kuba mulimu ebintu nga oba tobirinaako buyinza bite. And there are things I tell people. These are not only for mentally challenged, because abantu bonna babulwa otulo. Naye when you lose sleep, weebuuze ki ekiŋŋaanya okwebaka. Because in most cases you have to identify what is triggering that insomnia. Because there's something that always triggers it, and you have to identify even before running to a doctor. Because abantu abamu tebeebaka naye nga birowoozo, you have racing thoughts, and it's the reason you have lost sleep. And it's the reason when you identify those racing thoughts and you learn how to handle them little by little, your sleep will come back. Katonda yamanya omubiri guno gulina okuwumula. Kyova olaba nedda nze ndaba abantu namira CPZ-5. CPZ ddagala ly'abantu babukosefu bwa bwongo gye bamira okwebaka. Naye naafairinga okwebaka waaki? Because at the end you have racing thoughts that are stopping you from sleeping. It is why I tell people, identify what is triggering that insomnia and handle it. Because at times people fail to sleep because they are not exercising enough. Omuntu n'okeera mu office okeera ssaawa 2 ne baleeta chai n'otuula, ne baleeta ssaawa 4 n'olya, emisana ne baleeta emmere, otudde olunaku lwonna oli ku kompyuta n'ovuga emmotoka n'okomawo ewaka. Kati omubiri gunaafuna gutya otuulo? Tegusobola kubanga ogutuuza wamu. And those are the things I show. When you identify what is triggering your stress, what is triggering that insomnia, you can handle it. At times we fail to sleep. Maybe you have pain in the body. And it is why I'm telling people, when we get to know, racing thoughts are the most, like, people have racing thoughts, but when you know I can handle one, because you cannot control or change certain things, but you can only control and change yourself. No, there are things I tell people. When we get to learn, there is a lot of peace of mind that comes with being financially, in financial freedom. abantu abasinga tubeera mu nsi tuli mu byakweraga. We are spending to impress people. N'ekyo kyeŋŋamba abantu mukyala Benediction Veronica wenkyusa obugoye n'ensiba enviiri naye nga neeragira kuba ka stress okawulira wekka, and that is the world. People are stressed because they are impressing the world at the cost of your inner peace. You know, and these are the triggers of stress people go through unknowingly. You are spending, but you are impressing the world, but you are going through stress because you are not using wisdom, and that is the world we live in. You know, people are so stressed because people have not known. There's a lot of peace that comes with being financially independent. With there's a lot of do not no. Okay, let me bring it this way. Do not spend to impress people, because financial freedom brings peace of mind. You know, to spending a sentence onti olya oweragira ku bantu, because financial freedom brings true peace of mind. Omuntu buli w'obeera ng'olina ssente zo olina emirembe gyo gy'okubeera nagyo. Naye abantu abasinga babeera mu byakweraga n'obeera nga tolina ssente n'obeera ne stress lwakuba weeragira ku bantu. It is why I tell people, learn how to compete with yourself. Do not compete with anyone. Because whenever you compete with people, ka stress okayitamu wekka. Because we have not known, financial freedom brings true peace of mind. And it's the reason, as I'm finishing this audio, let me speak to someone. Just know, stop stressing over things you cannot control. Lekera okustressing ku bintu by'otalinaako buyinza. By'otasobola kukyusa oba tebigenda kuvaawo. Mulimu ebintu abaana baddayo okusomero baagala fees, balina okusoma, kati nga neweeralikirira otya balina okusoma buli ttaamu, kati nga gwe alina okutuula n'owa Mukama. At the end of the day, ziba zajja luna luno nga bagamba kijja kuggwa. You know, because at times people are so stressed because we do not know certain truths, that we are controlled by certain things, and that things that trigger stress. You know, thank you very much for listening to me, and let me encourage someone this evening: stop stressing over what you cannot change or what you cannot control. Handle your mindset, handle your attitude. At the end of the day, we have no control over most things that happen to us, but we only have control over ourselves. Tetulina buyinza ku bintu bitubeerako nenga ffe abalina obuyinza okwefuga. It is our attitude and mindset that makes the difference in everything. You know, it is why you see some people come out stronger and some people come out hit, because our attitude and mindset is what makes the difference in whatever we go through. Thank you very much for listening to me. And in Swahili we say, asante sana.